the importance of Legos in childhood development. So I was getting ready to do a writing workshop for homeschoolers, and I was mentioning that to my son that's in the room, and I said, I'm going to go on and I'm going to do a video. And he said, how to build Bionicles and the importance of Lego building in child development. So I thought, ha, let's do it. He's actually in the room right now. This is unscripted, unedited. The reality is that our 5 boys, I worked in a toy store way back in the day when Bionicles first came out by Lego. And I was young. I wasn't even a mom yet. And I still remember holding the box in the toy store and saying this is the stupidest toy I've ever seen on the planet. Who on earth would ever buy Bionicles? Me, because I have 5 sons and they are Bionicle fanatics. Lego knew what they were doing back then. And although, are they even on? They don't even sell them anymore. But here's the beauty of Bionicles is that not only are they simple to put together kits and they fall apart if you're not, don't worry, I'll get it in a second. They're easy to put together, but in the story building of following a character and creating a universe and creating plots and themes and conflicts and all these things, Bionicle really marketed this in a beautiful way because you needed to participate in all of the pieces in order to get the full story. So first you had the Bionicle. And inside the Bionicle, there was an instruction manual, which is reading. So there was an instruction manual that helped you put it together, but gave you a little bit of information about your guy, your girl, your creature. Then you got a comic back in the day. Lego used to send out this Bionicle magazine, and the Bionicle magazine would have a storyline for all of these characters, and the characters would go through some kind of drama or thing. But then there were movies, and wasn't there a TV show?
There was a book series and movies. Yeah,
There was a book series and there was a movies, and in order to become like the ultimate Bionicle fan, you had to engage in the Bionicle universe in all of the forms. He's dumbfounded because he's like, there's no way that she could make this an actual video for people out there. But there really is so much. So how do you build Bionicles? Because they're not sold straight from Lego anymore. You have to be creative. So where are places that people can find Bionicles today?
eBay.
So
There's some
eBay, there's some on,
places.
is there some still on Amazon?
Um, Maybe.
One of my kids, so 5 boys, they all really got into Bionicles. One of them really got into Bionicles. And what's that one? I'll get the ball too. I'm just leaving the Bionicles there. One of them would actually find just amazing collections of Bionicles online. So number one, how to build with Bionicles requires that you actually get some Bionicle kits. And back in the day, when they first came, they used to come in these cool, I don't have any, they'd come in these cool canisters. Well, I went through an organizational like season in my life. So I put all the Bionicles into bins and I threw away like so many of those little collector things. So how to build with Bionicles. Number one, get your hands on Bionicles. Number two, there are instructions inside or online to build any Bionicle or creative things online. So the actual how do you build, there are instructions everywhere. But what my kids really loved about Bionicles is that they were really big on these joints that would connect. And my first memory of how cool Bionicles were was when one of my kids, not this one, was about 18 months old, and he was sitting in front of a bin, because obviously we have a lot of Legos. He was sitting in front of a bin of Bionicle pieces, and he had the little instruction manual in front of him. And he was 2, so he didn't read, but he would dig into the bin and he would find 2 pieces that looked like what were in the magazine. And then he would come out to me and he was quiet. He would just hand them to me and I would click them together. And then he would walk away and he would finish building. So The beautiful side is that Bionicles are easy to put together. So that's the first part. But then the second part, there's so much to lead into the other piece of how do Legos in general, using the backdrop of Bionicles, help in child development. So let's talk about it. Okay, Bionicles or Legos, first and foremost, have this element that helps your child build their fine motor skills. Now, if you're a kid and you stumbled on this video, you're like, what is this gray-haired woman talking about? Fine motor skills are the movements of your actual fingers, the things that help you do things like click Legos together, thread needles, or pick up things with your fingers. They're called pincher skills. And Legos are hands down one of the best ways to really start to get those motor skills fine-tuned. So number one, and I'm just going to put the word, I'm going to put LOL because yes, I rose to the occasion to do this video. But the very first thing that Lego does with child development is fine motor skill development. And it's unprecedented. You know, we've got 5 sons, and the ability to just work on these motor skills. I didn't find anything else that would help as well. Yes, Play-Doh, yes, threading, yes, puzzles, yes, playing in the mud, but Legos drew them in, and I never had to say, go work on your fine motor skills. I could just say, hey, Lego time, and then they were off to the races. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that Legos, if you're following directions, either in watching your older sibling build and then you're mimicking them, reading the instructions, or following a video online, there is the following instructions. So I'm going to put follow. And some of the Lego pieces, some of the Lego sets are very, very complicated. And the pieces are really, really small. And I don't know how many times once the kids stopped letting me actually build their Legos for them. Because remember, I worked in a toy store, so I loved to do that stuff. But once they graduated and they were doing their own instructions, then they would get 3 or 4 pages into something and something wasn't right. So they'd bring it to me and I would look at the build and I would compare it to the instructions, and I could see that they missed something 3 pages before. So then it was this conversation. Okay, I can see that you made a mistake in your build. Do you want me to unbuild it for you or to take it apart so that you can start back then? Or do you want to continue building it your own way and then the next time build it properly? So following directions, and then how to overcome challenges when they come, right? This is a big deal because I'm going to put overcome. One of the ways that Lego helps in child development is that there are hurdles to overcome when you're building a Lego. You can't find the piece. You get stuck, and you actually do something by accident that you didn't mean to do, and it leads you into this dead end. So this overcoming challenges and difficulty. It also is an incredible sandbox for helping you deal with negative emotions, because when you're working on the bigger sets, the bigger Bionicle sets, the bigger Lego sets, you can't find a piece. Do you know how many times I heard my boys say, the piece is missing? It's like, the piece is missing. It's like, no, the piece isn't missing. It's there. It's so how does Lego help? You've got fine motor skills, you've got following directions, you've got overcoming challenges and dealing with the negative emotions. The very worst one. This was terrible. 5 sons. Okay, so my oldest had spent all day building. I don't have it here. He had building a Star Wars gunship. And he walks in to the kitchen to show me with a big grin on his face, and he slipped, and this gunship that he spent all day hit the floor and exploded. And you just saw his life force immediately get vacuumed out of his life. And then we had to deal with this massive catastrophe. So Lego in it has it's character building because sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes your little brother, character building. There was another time. Sometimes it helps you actually come up with secret plans. Again, oldest brother, guinea pig, and the target for the younger boys because he had like the better loot, right? So one of his brothers comes to older child and says, I would like to play with Bionicle. But he said it in like 2 or 3 year old language, to which the older kid said no. So then younger son comes around the corner and shows him something super cool. Can't remember what it was, but he's like, oh, look at how cool this is. So big brother picks it up, little brother sneaks in, grabs the Bionicle, and then leaves the scene. And the big brother had no idea what was going on. So there was a character training lesson in there. I was quite impressed with his ingenuity. However, Lego has so much more than just accosting an arm and a leg or keeping your kids occupied for hours upon hours upon hours. So when you're building Bionicles, number one, it's teaching you how to follow directions. It's teaching you fine motor skills. It's teaching you planning, right? These are life skills. There are so many NASA engineers and mechanical engineers and doctors and people that just really do fine things with their hands that got their kickstart by using Bionicles, by using Legos. They're a powerful training tool and they're fun and they're cool. So as I wrap up, to answer my son's challenge, that how to build Bionicle, and yes, I showed you in your rawest form, how to build Bionicle and the importance of Lego and in child development. I want you to know that we practice what we preach. So number one, the kids have been not practicing, but collecting Bionicles since the beginning of time, right? Remember, I worked at a store called Imaginarium. You can look it up. It's now like a little section in Toys R Us. Used to be just a hands-on fun store. And I was a certified toyologist. That was my actual title. I was a certified toyologist. So Bionicles, Bionicles, Bionicles. There's sorting, there's color coding, there's patterning, there's fine motor development, there's the mechanics of how they work, right? As they're trying to get the arm to do one thing or the sword to do another thing. So there's planning and troubleshooting and those types of things. And then you've just got Lego. We have Legos coming out of our ears. This is just a small collection. Ooh, is this the gunship that fell apart? No.
Nope,
Okay,
that's
so
a
this is a
new one.
smaller gunship. That's not the faded one that hit the floor. But the kids get Legos. Even their dad gets ultimate collector Legos now, like for birthdays or special occasions. So Legos, how to build with Bionicles, and the importance of Legos in child development. In all of my 25 years of homeschool, and I'm looking at my son, in all of my 25 years of homeschool and coaching homeschoolers now for over a decade, it is by far the single most valuable tool that we have in our house. It's the one that's caused me the most frustration. Have you ever stepped on a Batman Lego piece? That's like home defense raised to the next level. You don't need to be armed. You just have to have Legos in front of your door to stop intruders from coming. But Legos, by far, are the greatest source of my chaotic, cluttered home, but they're also the secret sauce behind what the boys grew up to do, because they were they would sit over piles of Legos, and if you have Legos in your house, you know the noise that I'm describing as they're digging through the buckets, that looking for the proper piece was a constant rattle in our house. So as a mom, as a homeschooler, as a teacher, as a coach, what kinds of tips do I have for you if you're a parent watching this? Number one, invest in Legos. They're worth their weight in gold. Forget the curriculum. Get Legos because they're reading. And oh my gosh, your husband needs Legos. Just go for it. Ultimate collector Lego editions. So number one, get Legos. And you don't have to spend a fortune on them. Legos are expensive. They are worth their weight in dollars and cents. So you just build up your collection slowly, but you can find them on eBay. You can find them at your local thrift store. You can find them on Facebook Marketplace. So you get Legos. Number two, and I don't have any in here because this room has been repurposed by our youngest son, but you get bins. You don't throw away, don't throw away the boxes. Okay, he's like, don't throw away the boxes, don't throw away the containers, flatten them and protect them because they are collector items and they can actually be worth real money later. But we binned our Legos into see-through bins because eventually we had so many sets, it didn't make sense to have individual containers. We had to put the pieces in. Save every single instruction book and put them in a safe place. If your kids are little, safeguard the instruction manuals so that as they grow and they attempt to build them again, they have access to them. All of these Bionicles on our back shelf were very recently in a bin, all disassembled. But because we have all of the instruction manuals and the internet, the boys were able to reassemble all of these pieces. So save the instruction booklets and keep your 2-year-old Tyrannosaurus Rex kids away from them, right? So that they don't get torn. And you protect them the same way that you would a first edition signed copy of some, he's over here nodding. Yes. So you protect them. So get Legos, protect the instruction manuals. I had a massive notebook that had the pocket protectors in there, and I would just slide the instructions in there. And then every now and again, Lego would send something that truly is, they already earmark or bookmarked as a collector thing. Specifically in the Bionicle universe, there were some, what is it?
Mask of Life.
The Mask of Life type things. His eyes are big over here. So specifically, if there is something that is considered a collector, then you definitely safeguard those. So you protect the instruction manuals, you bin the Legos. And then I had some crazy mommy rules. I never let the Legos outside. When the kids were little, they were not allowed to take them outside. I looked at the Legos and I thought, wow, my husband worked hard to earn the money to buy those Legos. And you know, kids with Legos outside, they go into the bushes, they go into the trees. So the Legos didn't go outside for years and years and years. At home, what I would do is inside, I would put out a huge blanket or a sheet, and the Legos were required to be built on the sheet. And the reason behind the no outside rule at first, or it migrated to you can build the Bionicles outside, but you have to do it on the sheet, is that when the kids are trying to build something and they can't find the piece to connect to, it's super frustrating. So building on top of a surface that kept the pieces in one spot was super, super helpful. I don't think we've missed or lost many with all of the sets of Legos that we have in the house. Have we lost thousands of pieces of Legos?
No, very few.
Very, very few. And that's 5 kids over the course of, oh my goodness, 25 years. We probably have countable pieces that we've lost. And then as the kids got older into the teenage years, what's the place that you can buy replacement parts? Do you remember?
There's like, you can look it up. It's like Lego Brick.
Lego
.com or
Brick.
something like that.
There's
Just like
there are sites out
individual
there.
pieces.
So if you are if you want to build from scratch, or if you have a set that's missing pieces, you can actually typically find the pieces that are missing. You can even reach out to, there was this one Bionicle that one of my sons became obsessed by. And do you remember which one it was?
Oh, I have to hear more about this.
Okay, so he was obsessed by it, and he wanted to be able to build this one Bionicle, but he could only find the evidence that it existed. The instruction manual he found that it existed online, And he became obsessed by this. So he channeled into everything that he could online and then reached out to customer service on Lego and sent them on like wild goose chase. Do you remember?
Yeah, because the Lego was only released in Korea for like a very
The
short
Lego
amount of
was
time.
only released in Korea for a very short period of time. And he eventually got his hands on that instructions.
He's like the
Okay.
only person.
He's the only person on the planet that
Pretty
has the
much.
actual instructions. But here are the lessons. So when as a homeschooler, I look back on that and I look through the lens of how did Lego help raise up our sons so that they're all champions, so that they're all master builders, so that they're all creative in their own way. Lego provides this backdrop. And no, this video is not endorsed by Lego. I was going to do a workshop on writing, but my son's like, "Hey, do this video." I'm like, "Fine. Challenge accepted." So Legos have been a part of our life in such a way that, oh, Brickmania. There's a place called Brickmania, maybe. Um, Lego has created this backdrop in our life in a way that I can see that there are very few things that add so much value into your child's life, whether you're a homeschooler or not. The backdrop of being able to create order from chaos. There was one year that I had a foot injury and we were renting a house that was 2 stories. And so for months I did not go upstairs because I couldn't handle the staircase and everything that I needed was downstairs. Well, when I finally started to be able to walk again and go upstairs, I still remember walking upstairs, and this particular house had this loft space that the kids loved, and then their rooms were attached or like surrounding this loft space. And I went up there, and the loft was covered in Legos, and I was so mad. I was so mad. I went downstairs and I was like, I'm going to get a black bag. You know, one of those big garden garbage bags? And I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to bag the universe because I was like, how dare you take advantage of your mom that couldn't walk? And then I got all the way downstairs and I was like, relax, just let it go. It's not that important because I had been down for months, right? Well, over the course of the next week, I would go back upstairs, and I would look, and this is what I saw. I actually have a blog post about it somewhere, so I'll have to drop it in the comments later. But first, it was chaos. The next day, I saw piles appear. I was like, huh, kids have been here. I didn't hear the motion, but the kids have been here. And then the next day, I saw the piles broken down into little things. And by the end of the week, that big, massive pile had turned into a gunship. And this fleet of little minifigures had been assembled. And I thought, you know what? They spread those Legos out so that they could see them. And then they scanned the Legos to come up with an idea. And then they sorted and organized and assembled and created. I thought, what could I have had them do for homeschool or even in parenting that would have helped them move through that journey in that kind of a way? Nothing. There's nothing that I could have done at that season in life that would have so naturally taught them the process of turning chaos into order. So, anyway, at the end of this ramble, yes, we don't have like a standard 401k. Just kidding. We have our 401k in Legos. Like if I wanted to just go to Fiji right now, I could just list all the kids' Legos and we could like charter first class tickets to Fiji. He's like, don't. But we could pay for your college that way too. You could just sell all the Legos and go to college. The boys aren't here to defend their booty. Legos are powerful. They're a really, really, really huge piece of child development. So that's kind of it. Do you have Legos in your house? Do you were you there at the inception of Bionicle? Were you there watching Lego just test? They really should have stuck with it. But for somebody like me, wow, to partner with somebody like me as a homeschooler to see the beauty of how Lego took the different modalities to bring together this story was beautiful to watch, and is actually a big part of how this guy is putting together his novel that he's writing, because he's taking the playbook from Lego and just taking the things that worked and then knitting it into what it is he's working on right now. So yeah, Lego has a huge part in homeschool, has a huge part in parenting, has it's the starting place for a lot of engineering and development and building and designing type futures. So the next time your kids ask if they can build Legos, then I'm going to encourage you to set a timer, put out a blanket, and say, go for it. Have a great day.